Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sandra Sheffer. I'm the president of the Democratic Women's Club of Greater Broward. This afternoon, we're going to talk about, this is our series, Race and the Races. With us today, it's me, Narnique Pierre Grant, former candidate for Broward County School Board, community activist, and she's also going to be a future candidate. And then we have like Aude Sicard, right? And you're what, president of the Democratic Caucus?
No, I am the president of Women Alliance of Miami-Dade and Broward, which is a not-for-profit organization. I'm a former president of the Haitian American Democratic Club.
Okay.
Currently the president of the Broward County 2020 Census 2020 Complete Count Committee.
Okay, thank you. And then we have Grecia Rivas-Smith, right? Grecia Rivas-Smith. She's candidate for Oakland Park City Commission. Yes. I think most of the people, is what, 5 people in that race and they get to vote for 3?
7 people, but everyone gets to vote for 3. So just make sure that I'm one of those 3 people.
Grecia Rivas-Smith, Oakland Park City Commission. All right. So today we're going to talk about the census. Well, we were going to have a whole different type of conversation about the census today, but y'all friend got some judge to say end it tomorrow. So if you haven't done your census, get online, do it tonight. You got until tomorrow to be counted. Aude is going to talk about that more. And then I'm going to send it to Narnique first. She's going to give us like a timeline or review of what we're doing. And then Aude is going to talk to us about the census. And then Gracia, candidate for Oakland Park City Commission, is going to talk to us. And then, then Narnique and I, we're going to talk about some women in politics after this. All right, Narnique.
Well, thank you so much. I am so excited to have Aude on. Gracia on is very exciting. Really was excited to talk to Aude about the census, but the orange monster came along, and so now once I turn it over to Aude, she'll tell us what our percentage is as in Florida and where we're at. And unfortunately, we have less than 24 hours to complete the census, and then that would be it for 2020. Like it's, I don't think people really realized. Well, I think people did realize how important the census was, but because this is an election year, it just got muddy. So
and so much going on. What? And then COVID.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Right. So we're gonna segue into that, but we're also gonna talk about the last debate, which was with Kamala Harris. Did we talk about that?
No, because it happened that. So after we had the thing, and then it was that night. So no, we did not talk about the debate.
Right, we're gonna have a conversation about that, and then once we do segue into that, that will segue into Grecia because she's running currently. So let's give it away to Aude. Aude, give us a little bit of information about what's going on with the census, and you can give us the numbers for nationwide, and also give us the numbers for Florida. I don't know if you have numbers for Broward, but whatever you can give us and whatever information we can give people to try to get it in before I guess the end of the day. I don't know. I think, is it at midnight on the 15th, at 10 o'clock? I don't know.
Good afternoon, ladies. Thank you for having me. It's such a great opportunity to speak about the census and whatever else conversation we will have this afternoon. Race and the Race is working. I really applaud and admire you guys for girls for putting this up. Outstanding. Hopefully this will stay for the longevity for your kids. This is a talk show that will probably evolve with other things, and with the social media, you don't know where it's gonna go. So congratulations. The census, we all know this started for me since June 2019. We've been working on the census. And it's been a roller coaster. You all know how it happened. Initially, we thought it's going to end by June, July, August at maximum. Then COVID came in, and you know the history. And then finally, we expected it to stay until October 30th, but 31st. And then they moved it to September 30th, and then back to October 5th, and then back again to October 31st. And now we are October, just being announced. October 14th, they're telling us tomorrow is the deadline. I've never, I mean, I worked for all of my lives. I've never had to experience such crazy, disorganized type of thing, especially it's not from my house going to grocery store you forgot the mayonnaise, you forgot whatever. This is a nation, and census is very, very important. The census is the lifeline. I would say it's the template. It's the an architect. When you make a house, this is what you need in order for you to know where you're going, how much money you're gonna need, how you're going to make this happen. So it's inconceivable, outrageous that it's been handled the way this administration has from the get-go, and the state of Florida even worse with the census has not put one red penny into the census, and all of their money is being spent towards destabilizing the country, really making everybody as crazy as they are. It's terrible. It's a good thing that most of us, we have our head planted on our shoulders and we're not going to go crazy. Let them be crazy by themselves. So our community, I'm the president for the Complete Card Committee, the chair for our Haitian community. So what we did from the beginning, having done it in 2000 and 2010, I started right there from the get-go to reach out to our communities. So as a whole, the communities that I had targeted in Broward are those that need the census terribly, because these are the small municipalities that do not get money directly from the CDBGs, from the federal government. They have to rely on the county because their population is small, according to the way they make things. Unless you are more than 50,000 people, those small municipalities cannot get grants from the federal government. So it's residents who live in those small municipalities do not have the same benefits as other people who are in the larger municipalities. So I concentrated on Oakland Park and Oakland Park, Lauderdale Lakes, North Broward, Ladder Hill, those small, a little bit at the end, I focus on Pompano. Pompano is big, but then their responses were not good. So what we found out was that what kept Florida, and Nick, you asked for data, nationwide, it's 87.6, but Florida is at 63.7, and Broward 63. And there are some municipalities that really kept us down, and they're not the municipalities where we belong. They are people, rich people who live in those gated communities, sky rises on the water, such as Lauderdale by the Sea, Deerfield, Hallandale, those kind of communities that have high rises and people cannot go in, they're not turning in their census. And those are, except for Pembroke Park, that is a very small municipality, 6,000 people. You would think everybody will turn in their census, but they haven't. They were at, when I started to work with them, they were at 17%. So last time I looked, they were like 23 or 37. And these are the ones that are creating problems. And Pembroke Park is only the smallest one. She's at the bottom line. I mean, the bottom tier. And then comes Hallandale, Deerfield Beach, Lauderdale by the Sea. These are those municipalities that have kept us very low in the 30 percentiles, whereas other communities where we work hard despite the COVID, Lauderdale Lakes, North Lauderdale, and they're doing better than those rich residential areas. And I wanted to make that to make it a point. Most of the time, people who with low income are blamed for not doing their civic duties, and in fact, it's not always that way. So right now, we plan to continue our outreach until October 31st, but then bang bang, they cut us short. By tomorrow, October 15th, the census is over. It's terrible, because this is what the country relies on in terms of data statistic to we do the mapping of the congressional members. This is the data. They need to know how many people are wherever they are in order for them to distribute the money that we as taxpayers send out to the federal government. And if we don't have the count that we need, we're not going to have the resources to meet the needs of our constituents. And Broward County in 2010 lost $210 million. Imagine $210 million, how much it can do for Head Start, for first-time home buyer, elderly programs. I met this woman, she's 82, and she lives in this condominium area. It's hers, but everything is falling apart. And some of the stuff that are inside doesn't belong to the association or what have you, and she must be the one to provide for it. But on a fixed income, she can hardly survive. These are the kind of things elected officials should look at. How do you help the elderly? Even some communities, some municipalities, when they get the CDBG money or any kind of help to do this type of service, they decide to spend it on the business. And the business need the help too. The businesses need to survive in order to create jobs. So you really don't know where to go. The needs are so great that it's terrible for a country to decide to, it's like shooting yourself at the knee or on the toes, shooting your foot. And then why do this? What benefits would the country get to sabotage the census? And that's what we have now.
That's why it's important. That's why it's important for us to pay attention and promote how for us to vote for and be concerned with our local elections, right? You know, like everyone's always concerned about the presidential race and the Senate race and the people that they send to Washington, D.C. You need to pay attention to the people that you're going to send to represent you in your small areas. And that's, that because Oakland Park is going to have to figure out how to manage their city and help their residents, even though they're not going to get
exactly
from the federal government. I know Grecia wanted to ask a question, so go ahead, Grecia, and ask. And that's why we want people to really pay attention. You got to make sure you vote for the right commissioner, right city council member, because the federal government right now don't want to help us, right? They don't want to help anybody. So you gotta make sure you have people that are going to be in place that's going to be able to figure out and manage how to work with the limited resource that they're going to get from the federal government and what they can generate from their local municipalities. Go ahead, Gracia.
Thank you. And thank you, Aude, for that information. I guess from everything that you were saying, what really came to mind was where are we lacking in terms of being able to access these communities that are not responding? How can we as elected officials or community leaders, activists, things like that, how can we try to make sure that they are responding? I'm very surprised at that, just being that we are in a COVID state where everyone's home, there's emails being sent, there's mail being sent, there's, Oakland Park has done an amazing job at knocking on doors, but our numbers are still very low, like we're at 65%. And well, we would obviously like to be at 100%, used to have a very large group of people that we haven't reached or probably have, but haven't responded. In your work, have you guys found that there is any particular thing that is either preventing people from responding or preventing you guys from being able to access those communities that you mentioned?
Like I said, there are a few reasons why people do not respond. Either they're afraid the code enforcement will come to the house if they are renting and it's an illegal expansion of the house. They added to the house some addition, so they don't want that to happen. The other issue would be people who are undocumented, rightfully so. They can't trust government, and we've seen it many times that you can't really trust them, but yet we tell them that the census is legally binded by the Constitution. They're not supposed to release any information regardless of the entity. It stays with the Census Bureau for 72 years. At that time, neither one of us are going to be there. If you're reporting your census 72 years later, most likely, unless you want to live 100 and some years. So I tell people that to feel safe, it's okay if you're undocumented, it's okay if you have TPS, it's okay if you have transformed your house into whatever. That's not what the census will be asking you. If you have children, you are undocumented, and your children you've given them for income tax to some family members or other people to claim, this is not an issue. Please do not think census will look into this. That's not what the census does. The census simply count the people. You need to be counted. I have someone that called me. The census came knocking on their doors, and they have the couple in the house, one child that is not theirs is a grandchild, the mother is a grandmother, and they talk about the spouses. They reported themselves and the grandchild because the mother is out in school, and did not report the grandmother. So I'm asking them, why she lives here, yes, but then why didn't you report her? Because her income tax is with some other member of the family. I said, but this has nothing to do with it. You should call back and say you want to amend your report because it can be amended, and you will amend it and add the lady, unless you want whoever is claiming her to count her. Either you count her or whoever, because she must be counted. And specifically, anyone who's been in the United States as of April 1st, 2020 must be counted. You have to be counted if you are here as of April 1st, 2020. So these are a lot of intricacies. People don't understand, people are afraid, but yet you can see, as I gave you the report, those small municipalities, they responded into 64, 63 percentile, whereas those other areas where people have money, they haven't, and they're the ones who kept Florida down to the 63%, that 63%, I mean 63% that we are at today.
So are you saying like those areas, those rich areas, is it you can't get in? Is it a gated community? And or do they tell people that, you know, we're not allowing people to come in to do census? Because I know that the census is nationwide. They know that people are going to be out there asking for census. And I think that the census committee started to implement, put processes and procedures in place because of COVID. So is it they're not getting in because it's a gated community? They're not allowing them to come in because it's the rich area?
We started outreaching way before COVID. COVID came, it dismantled the strategy that we had to reach out. But yet, mind you, these areas are people who are literate, with people who understand the system, people who know what the census is, and they receive the card, because first comes, as you all did, receive the card, the letter telling you the census is coming, and then for you to either respond on the internet or by phone. So that those areas, we by the time we realized they weren't responding, because then the census had these maps that are available for people who are involved in the census. You go into the map for the Broward County, and it's public. If you go in www.census2020.gov, you can reach out to whatever area you want in your own municipality. You can see how well they do. So by the time we realized these areas weren't responding to the level that we would have liked them to do, then we started to figure out how to reach out to them. We had members of the Complete Count Committee who actually went to those areas, and securities would not allow them in. So it was difficult, and it still remains difficult. And then we engage the elected officials on the congressional level and municipality, the county level, to tell them, well, this city is in your district, and we expect for you to do whatever you can do to make sure they return their census questionnaire, but that has not worked too well either.
Yeah,
So
and then sometimes you also have it to where, because like for elected like municipalities, any type of issues that occur within, you know, neighborhood like associations, HOAs and things like that, they don't have jurisdiction over what they do. So it makes it even harder for them to try to even, you know, bargain or
exactly.
whatever to try to access.
Exactly. Even to be invited to homeowner associations, I know
Mhm.
on the regional level, we have employees of the Commerce Department, U.S. Commerce, who've tried. They are attached to the region, meaning Atlanta, Florida, North Carolina, Atlanta, and Florida. So they've tried to see if they could access those um, homeowner associations, and they need to be invited. They can't, force themselves. So and present. It has not happened. And but anyway, we were still hoping until the last minute we could squeeze out a few more responses, and it hasn't happened. In terms of the Haitian community, we went on radio, we went on TV, we sent out flyers, we spoke to the pastors, we went to some of those uh, the TV, religious TVs and stuff like that. Municipalities like Miami did a video, what we call it, a Zoom, that is on Facebook in their Facebook page. Some municipalities like Cooper City is on the top percentile. I think Cooper City is at 80 something. Yes,
Mhm.
and Pembroke Pines and Weston, Parkland. They didn't need people to tell them this is important, so they fill it out. And even our community, I think we did very well if we are still in those 5 municipalities that I mentioned with a large number of immigrants. And there is a map that the Census Broward County created, a map, the mapping that tells you exactly the concentration of ethnic groups. So it tells you the concentration of Haitians in Miami, concentration in Lauderdale, Lauderdale Lakes. And so that's how I could create a strategy and implement it to the best that we could, because we knew where to find our people. So we did a lot of work, and it paid off. It may not have been as to the level of the responses they had in 2010, but if we take in consideration COVID, I would say this is a success, given our community is not easy and all of the other problems.
I would agree. I would agree with that. I think COVID does throw everybody off with everything, but that it 63 is it's mediocre, but it's not as bad as it could be with COVID and how it is. So we're gonna switch gears.
Were made.
Um,
Yeah, so a lot of efforts were
what?
made. My mother lives in Little Haiti in Miami, and I know like she, as soon as it came, she's like, "Oh, I heard on the radio that we need to do the census." So I just have to let you know that at least the radio ads that went out to the Haitian community, it did get them, And
Thank
and
you.
she had my brother take care of hers before I even did mine. So those ads definitely did work, and I know the Haitians in Little Haiti, they did their census. So I don't know what that does for the overall numbers in Miami, but yeah, the people in
Oh,
Little Haiti
I'm glad.
ads worked. Yeah.
Here's
Even though I geared it toward Broward, but I'm glad Miami got it.
I'm telling you, so because I'm sure the person that's responsible for it in Dade County probably took some of the same steps that you guys did in Broward County, and I'm just gonna let you know,
Yes,
it worked.
yes, yes,
It definitely worked in Miami-Dade.
yes. It
All right.
works for us.
Yes, yes. We did our part.
trying to
And plus, and the last point I wanted to make is that we had a lot of challenges. Not only did we have the challenge of COVID, we had the challenge of the president last year bringing out all of this misinformation. Remember, they spent months in court because he was trying to put a citizenship question
Chip.
on the census. So it was months of that. And, with all of that information, people hear one part of it and not the entire story. So, they were just like, no, they're going to ask me my immigration status. And because I remember the president was talking about it on the census. So it just was like the census was just getting targeted in a whole bunch of different directions to really prevent people from filling it out. And so given what given all of that, and for us to have been able to get the numbers that we have, I think people should see that as a win, because it was definitely a huge attack on the census, and we may not have been able to do what did happen, given, you know, even the president didn't want people counted. I mean, not even, he was the one that didn't want people counted.
No, well, definitely the attack on the census was brutal.
It was brutal.
They did it with the citizenship questionnaire that they wanted to add to the questionnaire. They did it with the money that they cut. They did not provide any money, not a penny, zilch, to do the census. Normally, the federal would give the money, state will give money, municipalities would somehow find a way to create programs to get the census out there. No money was given by the federal and by the state. Municipalities, they stranded with whatever they could do, but they still came out short.
Yes, so
and, yes.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but you know, that's why, like I said before, that we need to get people like Grace here in office. We gotta, you know, we have to pay attention to our local officials, because they're the ones that's gonna be able to, they're the ones that's gonna have to make decisions about your day-to-day life, given the fact that, you know, we have a governor that doesn't want to do anything for most of the people here. We have a president that clearly doesn't want to do stuff for like the regular person. So you got to make sure you at least have somebody in a local position that can go ahead and help you out. So I'm going to let Narnique transition to our next topic. Thank you so much, Aude, for providing that information.
My pleasure.
Yes, even though we only have one more day, we're going to try to get as many people as we
definitely
get counted in that last day. 2020 census.gov, because if you're watching us here, that means you got a computer and you can still go and fill it out. So 2020 census.gov, you have until tomorrow at midnight to get it done.
And if you want to do it on the telephone, there will be a Creole person to speak to you if you call 844-477-2020. 844-477-2020.
Thank you.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, so we're going to segue into women in politics. And the reason why we're talking about that, because we're talking about the race and the races. So for the very first time in history, we're going to have the first woman
of color,
not
all kind of colors going on too. She got like all kind of colors.
Right? We're going to first have the everybody woman.
She got everything.
To be our vice president. And this is a very exciting time for us, because I was reading something where we had just an enormous amount of women of color and women period running for office. And it's very poignant and very important that we take a stock and look at that, because you know, before, women were always put in a position where they weren't, that politics wasn't for them, being a CEO wasn't for them, you know, so many other things. And, you know, we all know that's like a broken record for us. But here we are in a time where women lead the charge in politics. And what I mean by that is that we are the most, we're the gender that votes consistently. More so African-American women, and it's just amazing how these things have evolved, right? So naturally, we would be running for office. So the debate with the vice president happened, what was it, last week?
Yeah, October 7th. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure everybody saw. And yes. One of the things that I watched and I saw in terms of transitioning is that we all know how Kamala Harris is. Like, we know that she's a beast when she is in her element. You know, just ask the AG how she can really make you get to the point and say what you need to say. But what we saw was a different Kamala. For me, I saw a different Kamala. I saw one that was that took on the air of politician, of a politician that was showing the American people that there is a certain decorum that comes with the office that she's running for. And some women may have felt, and from some of the social media talks, felt like she was a little bit too lenient, too soft even. And I think a couple of things, the thing that was coming up is like, she didn't want to come off looking like the angry Black woman, right? And so there was a lot of conversation about that. And, as a woman who was running for office, I knew that there's certain things I couldn't say, certain ways I couldn't act. And it was frustrating for me. to not be who I am and just say what I wanted. I had to, I had to be careful. I remember Sandra used to say, okay, well, you can't go say that. You got to be careful now. You got to,
Okay, so
well, not as a woman thing.
the one thing that we don't know, I probably did say that. I'm not saying I didn't say that. I probably did say that. But like one thing that that we always have to be careful of is that we always have to be true to ourselves, right? We always have to be true to ourselves. But then we understand that there's a time and a place to say everything, right? And then sometimes when you're delivering information, you may want to kind of go in, but sometimes you got to do it with a soft touch. So always say what it is that you're thinking, because you always got to be authentic and true to yourself. But you always have to know there's a time and a place to say things. And there's always a way to say it, because you never want to say something in a way that the person's not going to receive it, because then you might as well have said it to the wall. So you always got to say it in a way that people can.
You're absolutely right. However, I feel that women of color, right, but I feel like women of color are not afforded that opportunity, only because for us, for women of color, when a white woman says something, she's assertive and she's strong. When a Black woman or a woman of color says it, she's aggressive and nasty, or a bitch, or the angry Black woman. You know what I mean? And
so Nani, you expected the pit bull or Rottweiler, but instead you got the German Shepherd.
Right. But I expected her to do the things that she did, but I did expect her to at least put him in his place.
Okay, so she did put him in his place.
She did. She did put him in his place.
So let me tell you one thing, right? So I don't play sports, but I like to watch sports, and I watch sports that I don't even understand, right? I'm gonna just put that out there. I watch all kind of basketball, and I can't design to play, don't understand the game at all. But one of the things I know is that you have to play the game. You play your own game, but you also have to match. Sometimes you have to match the energy of the team, right? And when I think of like what happened that day, I mean, Pence is like watching paint dry, right? He's seriously, he's just so dull that you can't come to him you can't be all that energy talking to the dude that's like dry as paint. Because then now you're gonna come up like some crazy wild woman, and then this dude sitting there like, well, mother said this. You can't do it. So when I think, and I'm gonna explain in terms of sports, I remember when the Miami Heat used to play the San Antonio Spurs. They still play them. But if anyone who knows basketball, when Tim Duncan was playing and you were playing the Spurs, those were always low scoring games, right? It was a lot of defense. So that game would be like 79, 72. And you would have felt like you was watching that game for 10 hours, right? But it was the same 48 minutes of basketball, because that's the team that they were playing. So you got to have to match the way the team that you're playing. You can't always play your game. So because she was dealing with a dude that was just like slow and dry, she couldn't come with all that, but she checked it when she had to. She's like, I'm speaking, so she did that. She gave him the looks. So that's probably as much as she could have done without her looking like she was just a complete crazy woman with all of this energy sitting next to this guy that was literally like this. Like you couldn't get him to crack a smile. He was just so dry that she couldn't.
The thing is, I think the other part, sorry if may I interject?
Yes.
The other part, I think it's because this time she's also coached by the campaign. The campaign has its own strategy. There are certain things they must do in order to get whatever. So they have their own plan, and she needs to adjust herself, not only because it's not about Kamala now. It's about the country.
Yeah.
It's about winning. It's about the Democratic Party. The restoring our democracy. So she was not going to be Kamala 100%. And
I don't really like to say that. I understand what you're saying, but I don't like to say that because one thing people don't want is somebody that's being fake, right? And even if we do have to you do have to kind of make adjustments for the room that you're in, but you still need to always be you, right? Like, so you still have to always be your authentic self. So I don't want it to give the impression that she's, like not being her, right? She was still being her, but again, you have to match the inner, sometimes you have to match, because there was no way they could have brought Pence up to any Kamala's level at all. So she tone it down, because she would have literally looked like a crazy woman talking next to this dull dude,
What I meant was, for example, the presidency, there is a certain way you must be. You cannot, that for certain position, you must adjust yourself to the way you're supposed to be. The Kamala who won for president and it was fighting for herself, and she decided what she wanted to do with her and her campaign managers, and then she went at it, whether it was good or bad, but she went at it. Now this time, the strategy from the primaries may not be the same as the strategy now for the general election. When I said she may not be the Kamala, but for example, Trump is doing everything that he wants to do whenever he wants to do it, regardless, and he's not doesn't listen to anything. He does not present the presidential figure. He really disrespected the presidency on so many levels. It's ridiculous. Forget it. So I won't even get into that.
Because
So when you get a position, there are certain things you can do. You're a teacher. There's certain things you cannot do. You're a lawyer. There's certain things that you must abide by a certain protocol and way of being. And that's she did. As far as I'm concerned, Kamala delivered.
yeah, she did. She did it because you could, like I said, you can't. There's certain energy you just can't make. You really have to play the game that you're in. You know, and still stay true to yourself, but play the game that you're in, right? And I literally only could think of like the Spurs game is the best example. But if you're not a basketball person, you probably don't understand what I'm talking about. But go watch like a old Spur game, and I'm telling you that score is like 79, 72, and then you watch a Golden State game, and it's playing like Philly, and it's 145 to 153. It's just a different style of playing. You got to really play your opponent. All right.
So talking about, I'm going to segue into Grecia because you mentioned, you can't be fake, you got to be real.
Got to be real.
People so talking about that, Grecia is running for city of Oakland Park Commissioner, and she had put out a video recently about her race being nonpartisan. And she came out there and she laid down the law. And I thought that was very, I commend her for doing that, because you know what, the pressures when you're running for office can be so frustrating and so to the point of like, I gotta come out here and tell these people this is what it is. Like, I'm sick and tired of, trying to explain, like things to people, and I want them to understand. So Grecia, you are running for county commission. So it's you and another woman, right? You're the only two women running, correct? All right.
That's correct.
Working with a whole bunch of men. All right, so tell me, walk us through campaign. How's it been going? Number one, and number two, tell me some of the frustrations as a woman candidate and how you do a Kamala, because we're going to use that as an example, because that's the Kamala the other night.
Well,
while you're running.
Oh my. So, I mean, in terms of Kamala, different accents, different everything, it comes out differently. Even when I was watching the debate, I told my husband, I was like, wow, I wonder if people are looking at this as, she's portraying too much emotion next to this guy who's very nonchalant, or she's being passionate next to this guy who doesn't care. Like, there's, perception, it changes based on like the type of person you are, how you perceive things, right? In terms of running for office, though, it's like, it's been a great, humbling experience. It has been, next to like my military experience. I'm like, oh yeah, this is the next most humbling thing that I've ever done. It's been great. I'm very optimistic about the outcome, but I'm still remaining very humbled because anything can happen at this point. And in terms of like how some of the things, the challenges as a woman of color, I think I had a lot of challenges in terms of like not only being a woman of color, but being the only Latina running. Like, I didn't have anybody else to look to in terms of like even just races across Broward County. The fact that I have children, oh my God, are you too busy for the job? The fact that I'm full-time in school, is that like something that's like, and then that's where you have to explain prioritizing and the support system that you have at home. And then being young is like the biggest thing. I'm like, listen, guys. And Sandra and I have talked about this before, because you like she said earlier, you want to be able to read the room. I don't want to say, oh, because I'm young, I can do the job better in a room full of like senior citizens or things like that, and kind of downplay whoever is on the city commission or whoever is running against me. But it's more so just saying like, I believe that I can bring fresh perspectives from a standpoint of being someone that is younger, being someone that has children, the only one with school-age children that will be on the commission if I am elected. My husband's in public service. Say again?
When you are elected.
Yeah, when you got to speak it into existence.
And for your grandparents, and you love your grandma.
Yeah, I take care of my mother, so it's like these type of things. It's like it's so much like, I wouldn't say it created a challenge, but every time I had to explain myself just a little bit more than the next person, because the same things that could be good for me, some people will put that against me, you know? So that's the best way that I can put that. In terms of like attitude and stuff like that, you know, naturally as women of color, you know, we're a little bit more seasoned. So we're very reactive, we're very passionate about things, but you really do learn when you have a good team of people. As Aude mentioned, you know, I have my campaign manager, I have friends who I use as sounding boards, as Narnik likes to call it, that I call and I kind of like express myself. But then I have them walk me through some things. If there's something that I even believe it might be a little bit irrational to like say or put out there, of course I have to run that by somebody. So even with the video that I put out, for me it was more so, for those people who are ever having ambitions of running for office, you're gonna get a lot of unsolicited advice, right? So it's how you talk, how to say it. Oh, you should have looked a certain kind of way before putting that video out because you are a woman, this and that. And I say, my inclination for that video was I kept seeing something. It was a pattern. People are not voting because they don't know what party affiliation any of the candidates are a part of. This is the only race where you don't have to worry about those things because we have to serve the entire city, the entire community as a whole, regardless of party affiliation, you know? And so
let me correct that. So
that was somewhat.
I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but you know, there must be a little bit of a delay. So this is the thing. Like, even if you are running as a Republican or a Democrat, when you get that job, you are there to represent the entire community. It's just that there are certain things that you're going to prioritize maybe over another candidate because of your party affiliation. But ultimately, when you get these jobs, you're there for everybody, right? You know, we have somebody, you know, that's running, you know, the country in our state that think that they only have obligations to a certain group of people, but that's not what it is, right? You get this job, even if you are affiliated with a particular party, it's more for the issues. But once you get that position, you represent everybody,
right.
and you have to understand that. You know, you have to understand.
And thank you for clarifying that, because you're right. You'll have it's the same reason why we go for specific endorsements and things like that, because you still hold certain values and things that you want to pursue. But in terms of that position itself, I'm going to be representing the entire city. So I wanted to make that clear to people. And in the fact that we're running in a race right now in 2020, where it's like these things are so vital, do not waste a vote. You have 3 people that you can vote for. When does that ever happen? Like every so often. Don't waste that vote. Educate yourselves, because we are doing the work. We've been campaigning for about a year to a year and a half out. Some people 2 years. They're going to forums, they're getting endorsements, they're getting, you know, and endorsements are not just organizations, even from residents. You know, talk to your neighbor. That's an endorsement. If they say, yes, we believe that Grecia can do the job, that's an endorsement, because for whatever reason they've been following, they believe in you, and they're not going to be saying that if they didn't feel that true in their heart, that person can do the job, right? So for me, that video, it was like, okay, shit, let me go do my hair really quick. And I'm like, no, I'm passionate about this right now. I don't want to forget, because it's not scripted. And I wanted to show people that I'm not scripted. I'm very transparent. And this is what you're going to get. Like, I can doll up for the forums and when I go see people and things like that. But when it's something that I felt like needed addressing right then and there, because the conversation was happening right then and there, let me go ahead and put this out so that people know, because there's no, you don't tailor those kind of conversations to certain, no, just let it happen right now. So yes, some unsolicited advice.
Okay, let me tell you, I'm glad you said that, because the other thing that people need to know is that sometimes you literally need to be able to drop everything and go take care of something, right? You don't have the time to, oh, let me get dressed or let me do this. You need to know that you have somebody, like, if there's an emergency, there's no time, you got to just go. There's no time to go get together, put this on or whatever. So that's also a very important thing. And I want to say one thing before Narnik start. So we were in a forum. We were watching a forum yesterday. Like, we've been doing this, right, Narnik? We're like forum OD'd, right? But but this is how you get to learn, because it's real interesting how, like, depending on who the people talking to, sometimes they say some stuff different, right? But I understand that. Okay, this is the point. The point I want to make is, like, the importance of diversity, right? There was a diversity question that came up in that forum, and it came up at the very end, because I really think they didn't want to touch that hot potato, but it came up, they dealt with it, but it was almost at the end. And then the person said like, you know, it shouldn't be because of the person's color of their skin, right? I'm just like, who said diversity got to do with the color of their skin, right? And you just said something that's extremely important. Like, so you're a mother, you work, you're a student, you have 2 kids, school-age children, you're taking care of your own mother. You know, those are the things that's diverse, right? Because you have a lot of people who are on these commissions, see, they don't got no job, or they probably already had like a portfolio with some money, or if they work, that's all they do. And a lot of time it's men, you know, and I'm not trying to diss the brothers or nothing like that, but sometimes it's men that don't have the same sort of obligation as a woman. Because if a man decides that he, you know, he'd be like, listen, lady, take care of them children. Even as a mom, as a working mom, if you decide like, listen, bro, I'm gonna just send you a check, you take care of them kids, people are gonna judge you in a particular way, right? So, so you need a woman, you need a mom, you need you know, someone that's in a multi-generation home. You need someone that's working. That's the true diversity right there, not just the color of someone's skin. And I was like, how you gonna reduce diversity to just the color of someone's skin? Are you kidding me? We're talking about experience too, and that's what's important. That's what needs to be there. We need like some real people with some real problems making these decisions. You know,
might be the,
life.
I might be the only one on the on this panel who has not seen the video. So for the sake of the other people who are hooked up on FB and who have not seen it, can you, Grecia, tell us what was on your video? What was the point?
Where to go look at it?
Oh, God. Oh my God, this video. So it was just pretty much me saying, hey, you know, I've been noticing or learning that some people are choosing not to vote because they do not know what party affiliation the candidates belong to. And so I want to clarify for people who do not know that because we're in a nonpartisan race, we are not required to disclose our party affiliation. And because of that, we're seeking to represent the city as a whole, regardless of it. And I went on to mention the same things that I'm saying here. If you, I encourage people to learn more, you know, pick up the phone, call the candidates. That's what we're here for. Our information is on our website. You have organizations like the organizations that we've been endorsed by, that they've had questionnaires that are made public. They have forums that are made public, and you can go on our website. You can learn everything there is to learn about us, and nothing speaks to any type of party affiliation other than maybe the endorsements that we get because of the specific issues that we want to champion. If and when we get elected. So that was pretty much it. And I just expressed, like, don't waste your vote. Get educated, talk to your neighbors, talk to residents. There's community leaders that people trust that their opinion is the correct one. Like, I know when I'm trying to like even search for the circuit judges and stuff like that, it's hard to keep up with all that stuff. So you call people, hey, what's your affiliation with this person? How do they work? How do, things like that, things that you might not find on the website, but you might get that real concrete input from people who have worked with them. So that it was just pretty much that, and just saying, guys, don't waste your vote. It's very disheartening for people who have been working very hard to get elected in office, because this is not an easy job. It's not an easy task, and it doesn't stop if you do or don't get elected. Like you continue to work. So it was pretty much that. I was just encouraging people.
Thank you.
Yes, definitely don't waste your vote. It's too important. This is serious out here in these streets. So let's give a shout out to Stephanie Narnique.
Yes, let's shout out Stephanie. Stephanie is running for commissioner in Hollywood. So she is running for City Commission District 2. Her website is www.stephanieandersonmsm.com. So that's STPHANDERSONMSM.com. And her Facebook page is Steph for Commish. Stephanie and I go way back. I know her really well. She also does a lot of work with the NFL. She has a history with the NFL group, a very nice, wonderful, loving, and she's also part of the Trayvon Martin Foundation. So Stephanie's running for commissioner seat, District 2. Please go support me.
You went low a little bit. You said Trayvon Martin Foundation?
Yeah, she is part of the Trayvon Martin Foundation. Did you get that part?
Number 2. She dropped her number.
Oh, she dropped her number? Okay. Her number is 786-340-9408. She's also nonpartisan, so don't ask me about her affiliation.
She's the director of finance for the Trayvon Martin Foundation. So y'all need somebody that's the director of finance, because them budgets gonna be a trip. So you need somebody to know how to manage that money. Yeah, finance is really important.
Yes, so she's in a lot of, she does a lot of charitable work, just brings out, you know, the best in everybody. She has a master's degree in business. I think she's also an attorney. So what law do you practice, Stephanie? Throw that in the chat. But please support these women of color who are running for office. Sandra and I have been working this series until election time, because we want to talk about seats that we can flip in Congress, and then talk about seats that are we want to keep blue. And so we have a list. Sandra has a list.
Yes, we have a list, and I'm gonna talk about a few of them today. And Grecia said something about like not having a lot of women of color. Latinas running. And one of the seats we need to keep is that for Cindy Polo, House District 103. She has the same thing. She has a young child too. She ran in 2018 against like a Republican that was there for a long time. And she's younger than me, so I'm gonna say she's young too. So we definitely need to keep Cindy Polo, House District 103. We need her to keep her seat. So, and she's real open. So definitely, that's a conversation y'all can have, moving forward. And I hope she's part of your tribe and group of women that keeps encouraging you. We have Maureen Porras. She's running for House District 105. That's another Latina that's running right now. This isn't a seat that it was a blue seat, but Javier Fernandez is running for the Senate seat, right? So we need to get Jean-Pierre Bado for House District 114. We need to get him. And then we have Linda Thomas Gonzalez, House District 93. She's in Broward County. Definitely, I want to encourage people in her campaign. Annette Colasso, House District 110. That's another seat in Miami. And we're actually pushing some people that are out of the area too. Joy M. Goff Marcel, she's House District 30. Geraldine F. Thompson, House District 44, needs help. And Pasha Baker, she's House District 28. So these are just some candidates. There are a lot more. I actually have a post on the Democratic Women's Club of Greater Broward's page that has a link where you can donate to their campaigns. That you can just go donate, click on it. It tells you, everybody's there, so you can go donate to the funds to help encourage their campaign. This stuff is expensive. People need money. They'll take whatever you can give. Just go ahead and donate $10, $15, $25, however much you can give, because it's definitely expensive to run. So those are some of the candidates that we're talking about. I'm gonna list them all in the chat in a little bit, like when we're done. But I definitely want y'all to support these candidates. House District 114, 103, 93, 110, 44, 30. They're all running for House seats. There's another Senate candidate, Patricia Sigmund. She's out there in the Tampa, Hillsborough area, because we actually have an opportunity to flip both the House and the Senate of Florida blue. And there's a lot of reasons that's important. One of them is because this is also a year that they're going to redistrict, right? And if you see how some of these, like the district that I live in, that's 105, it covers parts of Dade County, Homestead, Broward County, and Collier, right? Like, how does that even make sense, right? But that's because they chopped it up in a certain way to try to make it red. But we need to, it went red, we need to flip it back to blue. So it's really important. So we can have like Democrat and people who are well-meaning to make these decisions about how they're gonna redistrict, because it's gonna happen. So we have an opportunity, the House and the Senate blue, and we need to do that.
I want to say thank you for having me, but I have another.
Yes, it's 6:30.
Another Zoom.
Hour.
Thank you. It was very nice.
Thank
you.
Yeah, bye.
Awesome. We appreciate you with the census. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that information. And
hopefully I'll meet you all on face-to-face one day.
Yes.
Good luck, Gracia.
Yes. One more day. Census, 2020 census.gov. And she dropped a phone number that I don't remember. I know it was like 844 and then something was 2020 at the end. I don't remember the 3 numbers in between, but it's in the video, y'all. Do that census, 2020 census.gov.
Right.
Do you want me to promote Stephanie so she could come and give a little shout out right quick? Do you want to talk to us, Stephanie?
If she's still on, she can.
She's still on. She's still on.
Okay. She says sure.
Yeah, sure. All right. So I'm gonna update her right now. Have her come in.
That's what the commissioner.
Promote our panelists.
The women's,
Yes.
the women's commission, the commissioner women's. We're calling it. Gracie's getting her seat. Stephanie's getting her seat. That's what we're doing. We calling it, honey. Women of color. Women of color. That's what we're doing.
She's like, she said sure. So I'm like, she's like, I hope she got her hair did. Hey.
Unmute yourself, Stephanie. Unmute.
Unmute yourself.
You're muted.
How you doing?
I said I'm like Miss Smith here. I just came as I am.
Yes, that's
There
what's
you
up.
go.
Gotta be ready. You gotta be ready. You gotta stay ready. You don't have to get ready.
I have my shirt on.
Okay.
Talk about your seat that you're running. Tell us what you're running for. I know you mentioned something in the chat. Talk about that real quick. Put a plug in, put your website, where they can give you money. We want all of that. Put all that in.
Okay, awesome. So I'm running for a city commissioner of District 2, Hollywood. And this is an MPA seat. I'm the only MPA candidate in the race. I was really relating to what Sandra was saying about Mrs. Smith, because I too am taking care of my elderly uncle who's on dialysis. I have my parents in the back house. I have, we're in that stage where we are doing different things than what the current commissioners are doing. We run our own businesses. We're in our community. We're raising families. We're doing things that they don't have an idea of because they did it 40 years ago. And that's not to knock them. It's just to say that this is a different time and we need different energy. And so I'm the most qualified person in my race. Apparently that only matters if if it's not them that have the qualifications. But I have a master's degree in business management, an undergraduate degree in business law and finance. And for over 20 years, I have lived off of 25% of my income while I gave away 75% of my billable hours through my work to my community, through organizations like the Trayvon Martin Foundation that, and others that couldn't afford my services. And so now it's time for us to take our voices and take our experiences and take our credentials and put them in place to where we're representing for everybody in Hollywood. And we know that we have different ideas that are not being articulated. We don't have anybody speaking for our youth. We don't have anybody speaking for our seniors. We don't have anybody speaking for our real working people, our real small business owners. And then we have all these people that are ignoring home ownership in place of affordable housing and giving away the resources that we have for our community. So I would be that voice. I have plans, specific plans to get us to this place. One of the things that I'm running against is because I have another Black woman in the race. And so people are saying, well, you shouldn't be in the race because there's another Black woman. But, to me, that's the same thing as them saying that we have to vote for this white male because he's less qualified, but because he's the person that is most popular. I'm more qualified than the other woman, or I never would have entered this race. There's no way that I would run against somebody who's qualified and that's for our community. She's for our community, but she does not have what it takes to lead this community at this time, to vet the different things that come before the city that they keep allowing us to fall vulnerable to. Because they don't have a business background to go through. What I've done for 20 years is vet businesses and say, no, we can't do this, or this is how we can do this the right way, and bring collaborators to the table. We don't listen to nonprofit organizations. We don't listen to people in the community. We go out and we hire big consulting firms to come in and tell us what we need because a lobbyist had a special interest, and we have commissioners who need to basically profit from those special interests. I don't profit from anything. I give away more than I take in. So trying to bribe me is like pointless. Like, what you gonna do? It's like, And Narnika would tell you, I'll give it away, you know. And even with this seat, I'm going to be giving the salary away. Like this salary is going back into the community. And to that point, I want to also say that when our women run for office, they shouldn't have a lot of debt left on them if they're not successful, because it deters them. So I have an initiative to where we are retiring the debt. I call it retire the daggone debt of all of the women that were for.
Yeah, we're gonna stay on and talk to you, but we want Grecia to give her last shout out, last pitch for money, give her website, because she got another meeting to go into and we don't do any of that. So go ahead, give the shout out.
Big thing.
Tell them why they need to be voting for you, and then you can sign up and get to your next meeting. And we're gonna let you talk a little bit longer, Stephanie, but we want to go ahead and make sure Grecia get to close out.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Narnik. Thank you, Sandra, for all of the things that you guys have been doing continuously for the community. If anyone listening to this would like to learn more about my campaign, how to get involved and how to donate, please visit my website at www.greciasmith.com. You can also follow us on social media at Grecia Rivas-Smith. We're looking to bring meaningful and diversified change to the city of Oakland Park, and I do hope to have earned the support of my community. And thank you so much. I look forward to sitting down with you guys again and to a victorious win in November.
That's right. That's right. 3 more weeks, right? 3 more. And early voting starts on Monday. Early voting starts Monday. Vote by mail. If you don't mail your ballot by Saturday, you better go drop that thing off to the Lauderhill Mall. I think the SOE's office, or just go in. I think you could do it at the early voting sites, right? You can drop your ballot off at the early voting.
Drop them off there too.
We
Yeah.
need to do that.
Early voting is October 19th through November 1st, 7 to 7. So be sure to join us.
That's right. So if you don't mail that ballot by Saturday, you need to go and drop it off, right? And you can have voted for Grecia now if you're doing vote by mail, but definitely if you're going in, start voting for her on Monday.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Don't forget to
I'm going to share your information, Gracie. I'm so excited to meet you.
And likewise, Stephanie, we'll definitely be connecting. Good luck. Thank you.
I'll see you in that meeting in a little bit. I think I registered for it too, Grecia.
Okay, there you go. Okay, bye.
All right. Yeah, so go ahead and finish telling us, and we're gonna wrap it up. But I was excited that you came in and we got a chance to at least give you a few minutes so you can talk to folks and maybe beg a little bit too if you need to. But go ahead.
Thank you. I appreciate
it. So people don't leave this with debt, which is something that's important. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so I was really blessed to be able to finance my campaign. And I've also had some minor donors, but there are some people that are not in that position. And we don't, and so we need to make sure that when we have female candidates, good female candidates that are really running for the benefit of our communities, that we don't leave them with debt when that election is over. So we're going to be, as soon as this November 3rd election is over, me and some of my girlfriends are going to be fundraising to make sure that we can retire the daggone debt. So we're going to try to start with 3 different candidates that were not successful. Narnike, I don't know if you have any debt left, but got to get you on that list. And Sabrina Fulton will be the second one, and we're still looking for 1 other candidate. But we're definitely going to try to raise enough money by January to retire the debt, because we don't want people to be deterred from running.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, because fundraisers, that's definitely a big thing. And I saw some of the ladies in Broward County do some stuff with a little bit of money. I was like, you did all that? I was like, listen, you got to be proud of yourself that you had no money and you got like 60,000 votes or 35,000 votes. That's big. That's big that you got that many people to vote for you with almost no money. And some people paid probably like $100,000 and didn't even come close, right? So, sisters know how to make $1 out of 15 cents.
That's right. That's right.
That's just what we do, right?
That's right. That's right.
But at the end of the day, it's still expensive to run. And we talked about that, I think, a couple of weeks ago too, is because one of the reasons why people weren't running, because there was a very there were barriers to entry. It was really expensive.
Exactly.
Now, you could fundraise and, all that kind of stuff. Act Blue and all of these different things have made it easier for people to get money. So a lot more women of color can run. Right. And people with more diverse experience can run because they don't have that barrier of money.
And one important thing I need to point out before you finish, Stephanie, is you see how Stephanie can y'all hear me? Everything okay?
Yeah.
See how Stephanie is making plans outside of her campaign to support women, Black women. We need to start doing that more. You know, there's a lot of us that was running before the primary and we felt alone, and it was a lonely place to be, especially when all the men and all the people who are seasoned, quote unquote, in this campaign game. And so it's important that we have people like Stephanie come out who's, you know, you already laying down the foundation to help other women like her become successful in this campaign thing. And I really applaud you for that, Stephanie, because I'm telling you, if there was someone like you before, I think several other women would have ran for office. And so I applaud you for doing that, really and truly.
Thank you. Thank you, Narnike, for running. And I hope that you're going to run again, because we really need you on that school board, girl. We really do. Yes, absolutely. But when you're running and you're an NPA candidate, you don't have Act Blue and all of them behind you. They don't even put you on their ballots. Like as an NPA, I'm not registered with a Democrat or with the Republicans. And so I can't even be endorsed or promoted by them. So everything that I have to do, that I'm doing, I have to do on my own or with supporters. And so I can imagine, you know, and it just was something that God put on my heart like last week to do. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to do that because I can. And I started reaching out to individuals to find out what debt they had, to see, you know, if there was something, if there was a real need. And so it's definitely something that a lot of women have stated. It was a reason why a lot of them chose not to run. And then on the other side of it is something that is a personal thing with Black women, because we pay our bills. You know, that is one thing. You're not going, like, we'll chase you down to give you money before we have you saying we owe you something. And so to have like the amount of bills for running to try to represent people who have no voices and could not give to get a voice. And it goes back to what Sandra is saying, the barrier of entry of getting on the ballot. It's almost $2,000 just to get on the ballot for the city commission race. And so one of the things that I will be changing once I'm elected to city commission is we'll be changing those systemic practices that are racist and at the heart of them.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I know the woman that was running for public defender, which we all know, Ruby Green, she had to pay $10,000 to get on that ballot.
Yeah.
$10,000 to get on that ballot. And you know, people always talk about, in order for you to be a politician, you have to be rich. Literally, you have to be rich, because they don't afford you the opportunity to run and really run for the people. And so you're absolutely right. And it is a barrier. Sandra and I were having that conversation, like, why are they charging so much? I'm like, where the money go?
It's a poll tax is what I call it, a ballot tax. And you have to be rich or you have to be paid for, bought. Yeah. And that's what it is. And somebody paying 3 times the amount to run, not minus the fees to get on the ballot, but additional 3 times the amount that the seat pays to run for the seat. Your motives are already off for me. Either that or you're fiscally irresponsible. Neither works for me. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, these are the things that we need to start to look at. But she being the one of the best qualified candidates we've had for that position in a very long time, and she may not have even have gotten on there if she couldn't pay the $10,000. That is a ballot tax, and the Supreme Court has already found that a barrier to a candidate being on a barrier to a voter having a qualified candidate is the same thing as being a barrier to their vote, because I can have my vote, but if I don't have anybody to vote for, I still have my rights interfered with. And so that was already challenged and upheld by Jay Wright when he ran for mayor in Miami Gardens, I believe it was. And the Florida Supreme Court found that these are arbitrary and unnecessary expenses. And so on the next go around, that needs to be challenged up to that level by someone. But we've got to get into the position to where we can do it in the first place. And that means
and it's usually someone who couldn't pay that know they qualified that would bring that issue up. Because if you got the money, you're not worried about it, right? Like if you got like $10,000 in disposable income, you're like, well, I got 10 grand, here's the check. So you won't even think to challenge that because you had the money to do it in the first place, you know?
You won't challenge it because it gives you an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
Right now, I shouldn't be talking about it. My husband told me to write a check.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but because when we get into positions where we can write a check, it's our duty, it's our responsibility to make sure that door stays open and that we take away the barriers to getting it open in the first place. So just because I can write a check doesn't mean the next qualified person that comes behind me will be able to, but they have just as right to seek that seat as I do.
Yeah, and it's a lot to it. So it's writing the check is just the beginning, right? That's just how you like step your foot in the door, right? Like once you done wrote that check, now you invested. So now you got to put time in, right? Because I wasn't even campaigning and I was exhausted. I was like, yo, I got to talk to y'all again. I got to watch another forum. So now you have all this time that you have to commit because it's like a full-time job and then some for you to just get your name out there so people to know what it is that you're trying to do to convince folks to vote for you. So that's one thing. Writing the check, sometimes that'd be the easy part. Like, okay, I got this money, let me throw it at you. But then now you got to really put in that work, to get people on board, to see that you're a worthy candidate for them to, stand in line. Apparently it's been 10 hours in Georgia. That's another thing. Like now the voters got to be like, yo, is this person worth me standing in line for 10 hours? So that's another thing. But you got to put in that time. And a lot of people can't afford that. If you're working 9 to 5 and you're trying to only campaign in the evening, how you going to do that? You know what I mean? So it's hard. It's there's this steps to this. And people, and I've known, like even Arnique, they've been campaigning since last year. They've been campaigning since last year for these seats. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of time. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of investment. So those are things that we have to figure out. Then we could just fund some, you don't want to make it seem like you're paying somebody to run, but be like, okay, here's some food. You know what I'm saying? We're going to make sure you eat. You know what I'm saying? Or like something like that.
Something to support these candidates. Yeah, because I know for me personally, I'm going door to door, like literally every door that I can knock on, I'm knocking on it. But I'm so thankful because I have a young man from the community who's going with me. And now I've got like 2 of the high school boys that are coming out now too. But they're like, Miss Stephanie, we're not going to let you go by yourself. And so, but when you have that kind of support, that is really, that's really helpful. But just like you said, you can write a check all day long, but unless you go and knock on the door and tell these people why they should vote for you, you just threw your money out the window.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, tell them one more time, Stephanie, where can they send you money? Where can they find you? Early voting starts on Monday. Do you need volunteers? Put all this information out here so we can have these people see it. And, Sandra will be posting this in a whole bunch of other pages. So tell them where they can find you in Hollywood, how they can help you, how much money you need. Throw that all out there.
Okay, so they can find me at 786-340-9408. That's my direct phone number, 786-340-9408. My website is www.stephanie, STEPHANIE, Anderson, ANDERSON, MSM.com. And you can find me on Facebook at Facebook Steph for Commish. We're having an event on Monday where we're going to be working with NFL Sisters in Service to get voters to the poll. So we have players coming out to Liberia, and we're going to be doing no contact drills with the kids while we take a party bus the parents take the party bus up to Hollywood to vote. So if anybody wants to come out, that's a free event. The Trayvon Martin Foundation will be there. They'll be providing money for voter IDs. So if you don't have your birth certificate and you don't have your driver's license and you need the money for that, come out and we will have that already in place. And then I don't really need any campaign money. I need votes. I need you to come out and support me. If you can come out and help me knock on doors, we're giving away school supplies. We have 5,000 packs of school supplies. I was trying to find one nearby, but we have 5,000 packs of school supplies that we're giving out to our community and to the kids instead of putting up a bunch of signs. And so For every one sign, I could give out 100 bags of school supplies to kids. And so that's what I chose to do. And so no matter what happens, you know, those signs are going to be torn down in 2 weeks, and those kids are still going to have their school supplies in 2 weeks. Yeah. So at the end of the day, I want to make sure that the next people that run for this seat, they have a whole different way of doing it. You're going to do it responsibly. You're going to come to our community, and you're going to make sure that you're doing what we need you to do, and not telling us what you're going to do for us. Yeah. And so if you guys support me with that, I appreciate it.
Amen to that. I think it's really awesome what you're doing. It's really awesome. And you know, after this is over, because we're going to keep doing this every week, we are going to start, we need to identify women that can run for certain, not only women, just people of color to run for certain seats. I prefer women, but it doesn't have to be, because there's some cities that got way too many Black people for their commission to look the way it does, right? And you know, this is erasing the racist, so we talk about it. But I'm telling you, it's a disservice. It's an absolute disservice for there not to be diversity on the commission when you're in an extremely diverse city. It's a disservice, and that needs to change, right? So
for your event that's coming up on Monday, make sure you all wear masks. And
yes, we'll have all of that there too.
So, yes,
where is that? What's
it's going to be at 2200 Atlantic Avenue, right down the street from Sweetheart's Restaurant in Liberia.
And that's in
Hollywood.
Okay.
That's in Hollywood. Please go and support Stephanie. Monday, she's having a great event. What time is the event, Stephanie? From what time?
It's from 1 to 6.
From 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Great event. This is a candidate who is giving out things. This is a candidate who is providing for her community before she even gets elected. This is a candidate who is not asking for money, but asking for support. Let's make sure that we support her. Let's make sure that seat 2 gets a very qualified candidate, and that is Stephanie. Stephanie has been in the business of philanthropy for years. This is not something that she says to be, this is something I know personally. Please, I'm asking you, I implore you to help Stephanie. Stephanie is one of the bona fide people that I put my whole support behind. She is the real deal. You all need to support her. So come Monday between 1 and 6 in Liberia, Hollywood, please show up. They're providing monies for you if you don't have your ID. They're providing masks. They're giving out book bags for the kids in the neighborhood. If this is not a worthy cause, I don't know what is it. So please support Stephanie. Stephanie Anderson is the bomb diggity hot just.com.
Commission seat 2.
Okay, for commission seat 2 in Hollywood. Listen, there's 2 Andersons, but Stephanie's the one you need to choose. Okay, make sure that's the one that you pick come November 3rd. But we'll start off early.
People voted already. We're early voting on Monday. We're encouraging everybody to early vote.
Absolutely.
Census is over by tomorrow. Unfortunately, we only have until tomorrow. Please make sure you fill out your census. However little bit you got, you know, if rich people see this, rich people, we need your numbers too. So we would appreciate if you could do 7 minutes. I think, what is it, 7 questions or 10 questions? 10 questions, 1 minute each, literally 10 minutes, maybe less. Just fill out your census. We really, really need these funds. Stephanie knows, especially with education, we're really lacking in that. So it's important that we do that. All right, so we've wrapped up that.
Black girl magic. Ooh. Black girl magic. Ooh. Yes. So
we wrapped up. We went over, but we had a special guest, and we appreciate you even coming on and doing that for us, Stephanie. Thank you. It was a fresh breath of air to hear a candidate saying they out there giving out stuff. For every sign, she can give out 100 book bags.
100 book bags.
Book bags. That's all I needed to know. Okay, that's all I needed to know. So we're gonna go out in a bang. We want to thank our extra bonus guest, Stephanie, for showing up and taking us on our offer. We appreciate you. Sandra, again, thank you for the list of people that we want to maintain and the seats we want to flip. Next week, we'll have another one coming up, and maybe we can invite Stephanie as a bona fide guest next time.
Yes. Because we
come. Thank you. Nernike, thank you, and Sandra, for everything that you guys do for our community. We really appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you. We had some real cool stuff we were supposed to talk about this week, right? We were supposed to be talking about them Gucci booted feet and all of that, but we'll wait and we'll do that next week.
We'll do it next week with Stephanie. Stephanie she's good at ad-libbing. So
you ready to talk about that Gucci booted feet? that crossed the line of oppression and ended up in the front. Okay, so we gotta do.
Stephanie, did you get to see SNL, Stephanie, with the guy, the comedian? Okay, so if you're free next week, 5:30, we're gonna have a whole conversation on that.
Okay, I'm free.
That crossed that line of oppression and ended up in the front, like that is important. Listen, we need to talk about that, right? We don't need Stephanie breaking down these barriers to entry, and then we got a Gucci booted foot, crossing the line and taking that seat. That's not what it's for.
Balance. And gotta have the balance.
All right. I was bad. I'm sorry. I was bad. I'm sorry I went there. But
you a whole savage. Okay, you a whole savage.
Is real.
Stephanie, if you're free next week at 5:30, let us know. Throw me something on Facebook. We'll get you situated. We'll get your email address. We got your email address already, and we'll send you an invite. We'll be talking about the Gucci fitted what? Gucci booted what?
Feet. I'm bad.
All right, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so thank you for another episode of Racing the Racists. So we've locked in Stephanie for next week, 5:30 at Wednesday night. We're gonna
be good. We're gonna promote. We're doing good stuff. We're gonna really do good stuff. We're gonna stick to the issue. We're promoting these candidates. We're telling everybody you gotta participate in the local races. These are the people that are making decisions about your life. We just had a moment of levity right there. We
have some fun too.
We gotta add some comic relief to all of this, because if we don't laugh, and we will be crying right now because it's serious out here. We'd literally be crying, so we need to laugh a little bit. But yes, Stephanie Anderson. So that's Stephanie Anderson MSN.com. She wants your time, she wants your vote. She don't need your money because she out here giving away stuff. So time, she wants your vote, support a candidate, and she's putting in that work. And we're gonna come talk. I need to talk to you one-on-one so you can develop that platform. So I think I'm gonna do like a one-on-one with her too, because I was one-on-one interview. So I'll do a one-on-one with you too to just get some more experience.
I love that. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we're gonna sign off with our non-Gucci booted feet.
I don't have no Gucci boots.
We signing off with our flip-flops, okay?
Right. I've barely worn shoes since April. Since March. Like, we've been stuck in the house. Like, I was supposed to start like a real job like in August, so I bought shoes and pantyhose and all that. I can count the times that I've worn shoes since like March.
But the Gucci boot women, they've been wearing their Gucci boots.
I'm sitting here right now.
It's not going to waste.
No, they're like, when they're heated seats.
Okay, we really got to talk about this next week. All right, signing off. Talk to you guys. Thank you so much for coming on. We're gonna have you on Wednesday, and you're gonna do a one-on-one on Sandra. So I'm looking forward to that. All right.
I'm just gonna give me your information so I can set that up.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye, everyone.